Hey guys, how you doing today? Day off for me, so having a nice relaxing one with my little guy, my little dog. Hey, how you doing, Milo? Ah, hope you're all doing well out there. It's what a wild time it is right now, man. We got blockades aplenty. We got the coronavirus. The coronavirus is almost becoming like a joke meme, right? Like it's becoming kind of a thing where we all, oh, I've got the coronas, like that sort of thing. It looks like, I mean, I've seen charts now that have the coronavirus at, it's not as bad as the SARS was, you know, and it looks like the recovery rate's pretty consistent and all this. What's surprising me right now in the kind of age as we move into this year of blockades, and I think that this is going to become non-trivial, right? That we are experiencing blockades when it's cold. It's February, it's cold. These blockades are going to get more and more serious as it gets warmer, as the university kids start to get out of school, as we start going into more and more, as the weather gets nicer, and as it becomes more and more apparent and more obvious that our leadership is not going to do anything about it. Not going to do anything about the issue of climate change. Not going to do anything about, nothing serious in any case. I have real issues with what's going on in regards to the talking points that are coming out of the blockade in BC. There's this real talking point. You've got like these pretty well funded, well edited. You've got these pretty slick looking YouTube channels. What's his name? Dick McDick is is his name, and he's espousing kind of the neoliberal oil baron line, which is, but where this natural gas, what it's going to do is we're sending the natural gas over to China, and it's going to replace their coal plants, which is better for the environment and it's better for our economy. So what a stupid thing to try and stop. So I've got two major problems with that. Major problem one, it's not going to replace their coal. They're going to burn both. They're going to build facilities to burn natural gas, and they're going to continue burning coal, and they're going to continue burning natural gas. Maybe it's possible that they'll stop burning coal for half a second, but I think you guys got to be kind of out of your mind to sort of think that China is going to just say to the Western world, oh yeah, we're just going to not take advantage of our own natural resources and become beholden to you. The people who are asking, it's staggering to me that the same people who are asking you to be suspicious of a Hawaii way and the Chinese government, and who are publishing these articles that are saying like we need to be wary of China, are also trying to convince you that selling natural gas to China is the best thing that we can do, right? There's this sort of duality and this double two-facedness to this whole line of thought that says, no, yeah, let's just trust the people we've worked really hard to convince you not to trust. And oh yeah, they're not going to burn both, right? Oh, for sure, they're not going to burn both. Sure, we're still burning both. Yeah, but they'll be better than us. Like, this is an argument that I think only a gullible rube can fall for, and I'm supposed to believe that this is common sense reasoning coming out of Canada. I guess it makes sense. The same people who believe angels are real think that this line of reasoning makes sense. So, and then the second line, which is that, oh, this is great for our economy. Let's stop mincing words with what we're talking about when we're talking about the economy. The economy is this buzzword that people just sort of suck down and buy into and believe that, oh, okay, oh, it's good for the economy. Well, then that's naturally good then, yes, if the economy thinks so. Here's a good boy. We got a little dog coming here, so just hold on one second. Hey, here's a good boy, Milo. Here's a good boy. What a good boy. My powerful little pug. And so, yeah, if you just buy into the line that, oh, it's good for the economy, oh, then it must be the greatest thing in the world. The economy is structured like this. We all work our lives away for a small, narrow group of billionaires and extremely wealthy millionaires who do not care about you and will abandon you the second it suits them. And so when these hack political idiots like Dick McDick tell you it's good for the economy, what they're actually telling you is that it's good for billionaires who will abandon you the second they can. They've proven it. They've espoused it. They genuinely believe that it is their divine right to be a billionaire while they step on the faces of the underclass who enriched them in the first place. Like, these pipelines are not going to help even the workers who help build them. It'll give them a moment of wealth because they'll have some money come into their pockets, but they'll be laid off and abandoned the second it's built. And they'll be told, okay, off you go to some other thing. You labor guy, who cares about you? Meanwhile, all of the benefits and all of the proceeds from the pipeline will just go into the hands of a very small group of billionaires who will in turn then hoard the wealth, abandon the populace, and actually use their money in order to fund politicians who will actually assault the populace and attack the populace. Just look at Doug Ford, look at Kenny, look at Michael Bloomberg down in the States. These guys are sociopaths. They don't care about you. They're funded by billionaires in order to abandon the populace. All right, let's take a little break here. I got my little dog. A little moment with Milo. Come on, buddy. Let's go. Come. Yeah, he's a bit tentative. Isn't he just the most tentative little guy you've ever seen? He gets really skeptical when other dogs are around, but he's a good boy. Hey, how you doing today, bud? How are you doing today, buddy boy? Here's a good boy. Okay, good boy, good boy. So excited, so excited. Good boy, buddy, good boy. Yeah, my little guy, he's a good boy. So this propaganda line shows you that the oil baron, it shows you two things, really. And one of them, it just shows you how desperate the oil barons are getting, right? That they have to really work overtime and they're infecting the internet with their wealth, right? They'd rather spend money propagandizing you and hiring people like this Dick McDick guy who's a hack. They'd rather pour money into those enterprises than help anybody, right? They're just gonna pour money into propaganda and propagandists and throw homeless people out into the street, increase the precarity of the working class, and fund politicians who will do the same, right? There's this dark ideology that's going around Canada right now and the United States that really is seeking to destroy us. Chris Hedges did this phenomenal speech in 2019, near the end of it, where he articulated it perfectly. The species is in a crisis. We are entering an extinction moment. If we don't turn around now, if we don't respect the planet that we live on, the planet will destroy us. And it won't care. It will just shrug and say, well, I guess the humans didn't want to play by the rules. And instead the humans erected their own rules, which ran counter to the laws of nature and the laws of everything around them. The hysterical thing, in my view, about these modern conservative sociopaths is, or sociopaths and fascists, is that they will stand in front of you and say that the wealth of billionaires is natural, that this is the natural way of things. How societies structure themselves is through hierarchy. It's so obvious and natural, even though it's not at all. Meanwhile, they completely ignore basic facts about the natural world around them. It's no mistake that the same fascists who tell you that their rule is natural also are climate change deniers, because they live in this delusional world where they are gods and kings, and it is natural that they ascend to the top of the hierarchy while the mass of the people are plunged into a larger and larger poverty. Because their mind is sick, because they have this depraved worldview that is unbalanced and lives, and because they live in a society that rewards sociopathic behavior, they don't understand that that is why they have ascended to the top. It's not that they're good or noble or even natural. It's just that the structure of the society rewards sociopathic behavior. They're rewarded if they abandon people. They're rewarded if they dismantle functioning social systems. They're rewarded if they pay fealty to those who wish to do massive harm to the populace. It's their reward for being chaotic evil, for treating those around them as commodities, for plunging the society into a kind of depraved, me first, every man for themselves kind of place. And if you dare stand up and say, maybe we should look out for one another, well, then you're heavily assaulted. All right, we got some more dogs coming up here. This guy's coming straight for me because he's a good boy. Hey, buddy, how you doing today? How you doing? I don't like to film other people's dogs, guys. Sorry. Where'd my little guy go? Oh, he's very skeptical in the back. Come on, buddy. There's a good boy. Oh, what a good boy. Being so good. Yeah, there's a good boy, buddy. Let's go. He's being real good today. Sometimes he gets really barky, which makes sense, because dogs are big and he's very little. It's kind of like me. I like to bark a lot, especially when I see big dogs coming. The difference is that all the dogs in here are really good dogs, and they just want to love and take care of everybody and be loved. The big dogs around me, well, they want to abandon people and make life harder for the mass of the population. This is why I firmly believe that, I don't pretend anymore. I'm a communist. I don't pretend like I'm anything else. I think that the propaganda that has existed about communism, and I don't know why we should bother listening to capitalists when they talk about what happened with communism. I don't think we should bother listening to sociopaths who have every incentive to try to get you to not pay attention to a system that is superior to capitalism. The propaganda that comes out of capitalism is pretty strong and pretty strong-nosed, because that's the number one thing that capitalism as an ideological force is terrified of. They're terrified of an ideology that begins with, maybe we should take care of one another. It's absolutely necessary for capitalism, which tells you that you should abandon everything around you, which tells you it's every man for itself, which tells you that caring for your neighbor is an evil act, that you are weakening the species if you try to care about other people. And so the thing that offends them more than anything is when an ideological force arises that says, no, we should care about each other. We should care about the weak. We should care about the vulnerable. We should care about those who can't get by on their own. And we should point out that this is not weakness. It is not weakness to say, hey, we have people in our society that you can't say to these people, go get a job. That's an act of barbarian cruelty to tell a person who lives in a wheelchair, or who had their legs blown off, or who's dealing with disease, or is dealing with mental illness, or is born in a situation where they simply can't make it happen. To tell these people, just get a job. I mean, you're a vicious sociopath if this is what you're saying to these kinds of people. Like, how about we build a society where a job is not the first thing you need to have in order to be considered a person? How about we assume that the humanity of a person is inherent? How about we assume that the God-given state of their being is itself a divine force, that their usefulness does not begin and end with how much money a capitalist can extract from them. This sort of terrifying ideology, if you're a capitalist, is something that we absolutely should be striving for. We should absolutely be saying to our neighbors, hey, if you get hurt, sick, if you get old, if you get tired, if you need a moment, if you need a breather, if you need to slow down, that's okay. Do that. And we should be saying that. I take a look at this coronavirus, right? Notice how when the stock market went down, the stock market crashed as badly as the 2008 financial crisis. Has anyone noticed anything? Has there been a change in anyone's life? No? Oh, is that because stocks only matter to billionaires? Well, yeah, that's exactly right. If you're a billionaire, stocks matter. If you're not a billionaire, live your life. Things are normal. You go to work, you work away, you go home, right? I haven't noticed, nobody is complaining where I'm at, right? That's because the stock market doesn't matter to average citizens. But if you're part of the capitalist class, well, stocks are the most important thing. Forget about the well-being of your workers, obviously. You can't care about them. Forget about taking care of anybody. Can't care about any of them. Stocks, that's what matters. Stocks matter, right? Numbers on pieces of paper, that's what really matters if you're a capitalist. Once I started to do some research about especially some of the most depraved acts that get pointed to in Stalin's Russia, right? When the capitalists conflate Marxism with Stalinism, what they're really talking about is they're pointing at Stalin and they're saying, oh, Stalin did some really horrible things, right? He caused a famine amongst the Ukraine people. And I mean, fundamentally what they're saying is that communism can't get rid of some of the worst impulses that humans are able to bring to the table, right? It isn't able to cure humanity of itself. But what it does do is it prevents some of the worst versions of humanity, right? Like Stalin's communism, while there are definitely bad things that happened and there are definitely things that can be critiqued, if you're going to critique it, you need to do it within the context of what was happening to Stalin and to Russia during that period of time. These guys went through a civil war where they threw off a feudal kingdom ruled by czars that ground its population into poverty. They took that group of people through a world war where they were the primary victims they lost more people through those world wars than any other nation. They were on the front lines, not only against Hitler, but also against the Japanese. They fought a two-front war. They went through their brutal winters. They had to relocate their entire society in order to survive the vicious assault that ripped through their country. And then, when the time came to rebuild, they were abandoned. They were put into second world territory. The rest of the world poured finances into the rebuilding of Germany and the rebuilding of Europe. How much of that went towards Russia? Oh, is it nothing? Or very little? Yeah. So Stalin and the Russian people, after facing this grotesque assault where they were allied with Europe, where they were allied with America, then America turns around and says, well, thanks for the war, bye-bye, and in true capitalist fashion, forces them to fend for themselves. Now, in the midst of this insanity, you can feel free to find a moment and cherry pick it and then universalize it, because that's what hack fascists do, right? That's what biblical fascists do when they pull out a piece of text from the Bible, they decontextualize it and then universalize it. Well, the same thing happens with communist Russia. Now, I'm not trying to pretend as though Stalin was a nice man, and I'm not trying to pretend as though bad things didn't happen under his watch and in communism. It's not what I'm trying to pretend. But let's say we took a look at the Americans during World War II, and we said, oh, they shall be completely judged based on the Japanese internment camps. That's the only thing we're going to talk about. Aren't democracies a failure? Look at the Japanese internment camps, right? There you go. And once you eliminate from your conversation any nuance, any ability to actually have a discussion that's based in rational thought or reason, i.e. once you become a propagandist for an ideology that has failed, by the way, capitalism is a failure now, then you can say what you want and you can believe what you want, because you don't need to base anything in reality, which is pretty common these days, right? When I was growing up, there was the false ideology of Christianity, right? Which said that a wizard is coming back at any moment, that there's a man in the sky and all you have to do is pray and he'll grant you wishes. And this false ideology is still held by thousands of people here in Canada and in the United States. There are still powerful people. Mike Pence, for goodness sakes, Mike Pence is a true believer. Like, he's still saying things like, you can pray the gay away, right? Like, there's, and this delusion extends into climate change. That there's this delusion going on. And so it shouldn't be at all surprising when this delusional reasoning infects even the most basic observation of other cultures. Like, if you're willing to accept that there's a wizard in the sky, and if you're willing to deny that climate change is real, exists, then there's no limit. You can be convinced of anything. You can be convinced that, yeah, communism is a real problem and it's absolutely going to destroy us. Except every single time we try to do any kind of socialist or communist program, it's a resounding success and helps everyone. Real problem. Anytime we universalize our healthcare system, anytime we erect a mass transit system, anytime we do anything that's for the benefit of the people and actually helps everyone, not only does it work, it allows the parasite class, the capitalists, to get more money out of us, right? So it's just like this extreme odd thing to say that if you do something that helps other people, it's gonna blow up in your face and there's gonna be a genocide or something. Like, I feel like the populace is getting over it for the most part, but we need to get organized because the delusional people are organized and have a lot of money. We're not organized. We don't have a lot of money. And so it forces us into a position where we have to continue paying fealty to sort of neoliberal hacks like the Liberal Party. Anyway, guys, that's the end of me. Hope you're having fun out there. Love you.